Hey, what's going on, guys? Rome Gaming here, back with another video. In today's episode, we are taking a look at some of the talents for Mistweaver Muck. This is going to be geared mostly towards beginners. Of course, though, if you are, just a normal Mythic Plus runner who is maybe just hopping into Mistweaver for the very first time, this guide, you might be able to find some use of it. We've done some other guides very similar to this one earlier in the season, so this is going to be a little bit more of an updated guide. Some things have kind of changed around since our last video, so hopefully we can cover everything here. So one of the first things I want to go over is at the very, very top of our tree, and that's going to be a spell called Enveloping Mist. Now, Enveloping Mist is pretty important, especially in the War Within, because this actually has some synergy with a spell called Strength of the Black Ox. So when Strength of the Black Ox procs, this means our Enveloping Mist cast time is going to be reduced by 50%. And this will also be putting out an absorb shield on our allies for 3% of your maximum health. So, Enveloping Mist is not only very strong for the healing that it does, it also applies Renewing Mist, and it also gives this absorb shield as well. And then when you pair it with something like Strength of the Black Ox, we get that reduced cast time by 50%. So the main places you're going to be using Enveloping Mist, it's okay to hard cast it as well, like if the tank is taking heavy damage or something. But you really want to be using Enveloping Mist with Strength of the Black Ox, and you also want to be using it with your Chi-Chi the Red Crane. Now, the Chi-Chi the Red Crane has a stacking effect associated with it that's going to reduce the cast time of Enveloping Mist by 33% per stack. So while your Chi-Chi the Red Crane is out, you do have access to very, very strong, quick, and efficient Enveloping Mist. Now, we do also have another talent called Misty Peaks. So Renewing Mist Heal over time effect has a chance to apply Enveloping Mist for 2 seconds. Now, Misty Peaks isn't something that we're really running at the moment in Mythic Plus, but just know that talent is there, just in case that's something you might want to run for whatever specific content that you're playing. Now, another thing that's very important about Enveloping Mist is our tier set bonus. If you take a look at our 4-set bonus, Vivify extends the duration of Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist on its primary target by 3 seconds up to 3 seconds. So basically, you can get a whole bunch of Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist out and spam Vivifies, and that will do a whole bunch of AoE healing and extend the duration of those hots on your allies. So we talk about Vivify. That kind of takes me into another spell or talent here. It's called Invigorating Mist. So Vivify heals all allies with Renewing Mist active. That's reduced beyond 5 allies. So you can get all these hots out, and you can spam Vivify healing, which would do a decent amount of AoE healing, actually. Now, this takes us down another completely different rabbit hole. We also have Soothing Mist. So Soothing Mist is going to shoot out this sort of line or this channeled healing, and it's going to make our Enveloping Mist instant cast and our Vivify instant cast as well. So essentially what you can do is get Enveloping Mist on a target, get the Renewing Mist spread between all your allies, and pump Vivifies into one target. And then that Vivify healing is then kind of spread beyond onto all your allies. So it's a way to get decent AoE healing while at the same time pumping an insane amount of single target healing into one specific target. And each heal that you do also has a chance to proc our Mastery Gust of Mist. So you can kind of see already how we have a bunch of spells kind of buffing each other if you use them in the correct way. And Mistweaver Monk kind of differs from a lot of other healers because it kind of has a very specific playstyle. You kind of have to follow the rules when playing the spec versus something like, I don't know, for example, like a Holy Priest, where you can just kind of throw out flash heals, and you kind of do what you want a little bit more through rotations, a little bit more forgiving, versus something like Mistweaver, you kind of have to use your spells in a specific order. And as we kind of go through these talents more, that will become more and more apparent. Up next, we have our Thunder Focus Tea. So Thunder Focus Tea actually had some changes just recently in patches, and basically now it will beef up our Crackling Jade Lightning. So if you're not sure what Crackling Jade Lightning is, it's a spell that Mistweaver Monk has pretty much had forever, and there's not been a really good use case for it outside of like maybe pulling trash from range. And now what Thunder Focus Tea will do is, through a talent called Jade Empowerment, casting Thunder Focus Tea increases your next Crackling Jade Lightning's damage by 800% and cause it to chain to 4 additional enemies. So you can cast Thunder Focus Tea into a Jade Empowerment, and then we also have, through Thunder Focus Tea itself, a bunch of other different like spell effects that will beef you up, I guess, or other spell effects that will become beefed up through Thunder Focus Tea, I guess is a better way of saying that. So Thunder Focus Tea can empower your Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist, Vivify, Rising Sun Kick, or Expel Harm. Typically, I'm putting this on Renewing Mist because Renewing Mist is very, very important to keep up on all targets at any time. You want to, if you have 5 targets, you need 5 Renewing Mist up, 1 on each target at all times. So the more duration that we can get on Renewing Mist, the easier it is for us to keep Renewing Mist up on all of our targets. So typically, you get Thunder Focus Tea into a Crackling Jade Lightning into a Renewing Mist. That's kind of just like a general combo that I like to use. Up next, we have our Renewing Mist, which we haven't talked about too much yet. So we just said it's very important to keep Renewing Mist up. So why is that? So Renewing Mist has a lot of different effects. If you just go to your talent tree and type in the word Renewing Mist, you will see the entire tree just looks like a Christmas tree, almost just lighting up with just this little magnifying glass everywhere, because so much of your kit synergizes with Renewing Mist. We have things that proc, such as Zen Pulse. We have things like Chi Harmony, which increase all the healing done to every single ally by 50% as long as there's Renewing Mist on them. So insanely strong. We have our tier set bonus that we talked about earlier. We have Rising Mist as well, which it's just an easier way to keep uptime on Renewing Mist through a Rising Sun Kick. We have Pull and Mist, which will give us more charges of Renewing Mist, and Rising Sun Kick will also reduce the cooldown of Renewing Mist by an additional second. And then through Conduit of the Celestials, we also have a talent called Heart of the Jade Serpent, which will give us further CDR on our Renewing Mist whenever we consume those stacks of Shaylin's Gift. So that kind of segues me into Shaylin's Gift. What the heck is that? So basically, as you're in combat, these little clouds are going to pop up around, and when you press Shaylin's Gift, you will kind of consume those clouds to do a bunch of burst healing. Now, if you are taking Shaylin's Gift, one of the talents you want to make sure that you're taking is Legacy of Wisdom. This gives Shaylin's Gift the ability to heal 2 additional allies and reduces its cast time by half a second. So very important spell there. We also have things like our Mana Tea, for example. So Mana Tea is going to be something that's pretty passive, and it's something that you want to take. It's the whole core of how you regenerate mana as Mistweaver Monk. If you're not using Mana Tea, go ahead and start using it, because you will not be able to maintain your mana pool without this talent. Basically, as you spend mana, you gain stacks of Mana Tea, and whenever you get to 20 stacks, actually you can consume it even before 20 stacks if you want, but it does cap out at 20 stacks, and then you can consume those stacks to get mana back. So typically what I like to do is in between trash packs, just whenever we have some downtime, I will start to consume those stacks of Mana Tea, because there is a cast time associated with it, and it's very awkward to cast it in the middle of combat. We do also have a little bit of synergy with the talent Refreshment, so our Life Cocoon will give us some stacks of Mana Tea as well. And we also have Flight of the Red Crane under a hero talent tree, which will give us a little bit more stacks of Mana Tea just by using our Spinning Crane kit. Another talent that synergizes with it is Energizing Brew. Mana Tea now channels 50% faster and generates 20% more mana. Make sure you're picking that one up. Another talent I want to talk about real quick is probably going to be your core cooldown, and that's going to be Invoke Chi-Ji the Red Crane. It's on a 1-minute cooldown, and we talked about it a little bit earlier and how it synergizes with Enveloping Mist. But the real power of this is the Gust of Mist that it kicks up through our Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, and Spinning Crane kit. So basically, you press this button, and you just do a ton of passive healing, essentially. And if you are taking Chi-Ji the Red Crane, you want to make sure that you're taking Gift of the Celestials, because this is going to reduce the cooldown of Chi-Ji the Red Crane by 2 minutes. So this is what makes it a 1-minute cooldown, and you pretty much have it up for every single pack. So I just like to send this at the start of a pool. And there's a couple other things that I want to talk about. This is probably more of the core part of Mistweaver that we haven't really discussed yet. And most of that is, if you do open up your talent tree, it's kind of in the bottom left-hand side of the Mistweaver side. And the first one I talk about here is Jadefire Teachings. So after casting Jadefire Stomp or Thunder Focus Tea, Ancient Teachings transfers an additional 100% damage to healing for 15 seconds. This will also increase our stamina a little bit as well. So this is very important, because this is what allows us to heal through our damage. So whenever we cast our Jadefire Stomp, essentially this buff will become active for 15 seconds. And it's really nice because they just recently made a change to where The buff lasts for 15 seconds, and Jadefire Stomp's cooldown is 15 seconds, so you can get permanent uptime on this. Used to, the cooldown on Jadefire Stomp was actually longer than the buff duration of Jadefire Teachings, so I think it's actually like Ancient Teachings or something, but the cooldowns are out of whack, so you had to rely on getting a reset on your Jadefire Stomp to allow you to be able to keep this buff up. It was kind of clunky. It felt weird. So now you don't have to worry about any of that garbage anymore. It plays much, much more fluid now. So just know Jadefire Stomp will proc your Jadefire Teachings. And of course, so will your Thunder Focus T as well. So I highly, highly recommend to get a weak R or something to be able to track this, because if this does fall off, it's going to be a bad time. And, you know, before I talked about this, I probably should have talked about Jadefire Stomp first. Let's go ahead and talk about that now. Like we said, it's a 15-second cooldown, so it synergizes well with Jadefire Teachings. And if you look at the bottom here, your abilities have a 6% chance of resetting the cooldown of Jadefire Stomp while fighting within the path. So as we are in combat and we're hitting, you know, enemies with our abilities, we have a chance to reset the cooldown on our Jadefire Stomp. This is really nice because we will be repositioning throughout the fight. You know, mobs will move, the tank will pull stuff to the left, to the right, whatever, and we need to get a new Jadefire Stomp down. And the reason you want to always be inside of your Jadefire Stomp is due to the talent directly below it, Awaken Jadefire. So your abilities reset Jadefire Stomp 100% more often. And while we're within our Jadefire Stomp, our Tiger Palms strike twice, and our Blackout Kick strike an additional 2 targets at 70% effectiveness. And your Spinning Crane Kick heals 3 nearby allies for 110% of its damage done. So you kind of have this triage of talents here that kind of synergize with one another, and it's very important to understand these 3 talents. I'd say this is the most important part of the video, is to understand how these 3 talents work together. I believe that there actually are some changes coming in Season 2 with these 3 talents, but for the remainder of Season 1, that's how these will work. Another talent I want to talk about is Life Cocoon. This is one of the best parts about playing Mistweaver Monk, is this spell right here. It's on a 1-minute cooldown, and it's essentially a lay on hands in the form of a shield. And again, it's on a 1-minute cooldown if you are taking the I believe you pronounce it Chrysalis talent. So this will reduce the cooldown of Life Cocoon by 45 seconds, which puts at about a 1.3 minute cooldown. I think there is some rounding in there. I think it's technically 1 minute and 15 seconds. So very, very strong talent. Make sure you're taking that in parallel with Life Cocoon. And if we remember earlier from Heart of the Jade Serpent from our Conduit Celestial Tree, consuming those 20 stacks through Shaylin's Gift is going to give us even more CDR on Life Cocoon. So it's actually an even lower cooldown than that. Now, for the Mistweaver tree, that's pretty much all I'm going to talk about. I kind of want to talk about the hero tree now. We do have a big cooldown Celestial Conduit. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown. And long story short with this, you press it, it does a whole bunch of damage, it does a whole bunch of healing. Just know that if you do cast another spell while this is channeling, you will, interrupt it, and you won't get any of that damage or healing. Or I guess you'll still get some of it, but just a portion of it. And then at the bottom of the Conduit Celestial Tree, we have Unity Within. So that Celestial Conduit will actually be recast at the end of its channel at 200% effectiveness. So this will basically just cast itself again and do a whole bunch of more healing and damage. Oh, another talent I want to talk about here that I completely missed was Revival in the Mistweaver tree. It's on a 3-minute cooldown, and this is actually a really strong group dispel because you can use it on Devour weeks and get rid of all the stacks of Devour. There's also specific mobs, just to think, for example, the Poison mob in City of Threads right before the third boss, the Slime boss, who does a big AoE of poison. You can press this and completely remove all the poison stacks in your whole group. However, be very, very careful with it in the Stone Vault. On the first boss, there's a debuff that goes up on the tank. You have to dispel it at a perfect time. If you mess up the dispel, the tank is dead. And there's been many times where I've pressed Revival to do some healing and accidentally dispelled the tank too early. So if you are going into Stone Vault, a lot of the times I just go into Restoral over Revival so I don't accidentally mess it up, because Revival cleanses a magic effect and Restoral does not. Anyways, going back to the hero talent tree, I also want to talk about Strength of the Black Ox. We talked about that already, of course, with how it works with Enveloping Mist. This is a buff that you're going to be tracking whenever it comes up, whenever it procs. You want to make sure that you're casting Enveloping Mist and getting that that max percent health shield. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, in terms of the hero tree, there's really nothing else that is super game changing. A couple of talents, I guess we'll just briefly go over the monk tree. We talked about Soothing Mist already. We have our Rising Sun Kick, which is pretty important, I guess. Yeah, maybe I should talk about some of this stuff. We have our Rising Sun Kick, which is going to apply Renewing Mist for us. Again, it has synergy with Rising Mist, which will help keep Enveloping Mist and Renewing Mist up on our targets for a longer duration. We have very important spells such as Diffuse Magic and Fortifying Brew. Highly recommend to just pair those with a mechanic in the fight. Diffuse Magic is going to be specific to magic damage, and Fortifying Brew is just going to give us more health and reduce all damage by 20%. Make sure you're taking Expeditious Fortification directly below Fortifying Brew if you do run that talent for a little bit more CDR on it. Another talent that's kind of sleeper strong is Strength of Spirit. Expel Harm's healing is increased by up to 30% based on your missing health. So I use Expel Harm a lot of the times as just a personal health pot, because the spell gets stronger and stronger the more health that you're missing, and it won't always top you off, but it is a significant amount of healing. Another talent I want to talk about really quick is Chi Burst. It's on a 30-second cooldown. This is a pretty strong talent because this is going to allow you to pretty much guarantee that you're going to get a reset on your Jadefire Stomp if you really need it. So if you remember Jadefire Stomp, the talent itself, this grants our abilities a 6% chance to reset the cooldown of Jadefire Stomp. And then we also have Awakened Jadefire, which will double that to 12%. So spells like Chi Burst will hit targets twice, essentially. They're going to hit for damage to the enemies, and it's going to hit for healing on your allies. So when you press this button, you have a very high percent chance to reset the cooldown on your Jadefire Stomp. So typically what I like to do is Jadefire Stomp and then always follow that up with a Chi Burst, so I can get almost a guaranteed reset on my Jadefire Stomp to just kind of utilize whenever I want. So I'm always trying to sit on another cast of Jadefire Stomp just in case I need it. Outside of that, I guess the final talent I'll talk about is Lighter Than Air. So Roll allows us to become lighter than air, and it allows us to double jump and dash forward. So essentially you can roll, then double jump, and you'll do a dash. And each time you have a roll charge, you get another free dash after it, essentially. And it really helps with your mobility. So if you do take this talent, I highly recommend to take Celerity with it as well. It's going to reduce the cooldown of Roll by 5 seconds and increase its maximum number of charges by 1. Okay, guys, that's it for this video. I think I covered pretty much everything. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. I will gladly clarify anything that I might have missed. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.